Sakshi, actually I've heard that you're purifying protein today.
Yeah.
What protein it is?
So this is a protein called green fluorescent protein, that is GFP in short. We call it so because it glows and emits green color.
Wow, it's so fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
Actually, no, I've never purified a protein before. Can I join with you today?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Cool. So, where do we find this protein?
So naturally this protein is found in jellyfish, which is a marine organism, and this jellyfish grows in dark.
Is it like we have to grow jellyfish here?
No, we need not to grow. Let's say even if we can grow jellyfish in lab, what if you want to work on a protein that is expressed in tiger and lion? Will you be able to get tiger and lion along with you?
I can get it now.
No, right? So, and not only it's practically impossible, but also unethical as well.
So, in that case, actually, how will we get the protein here?
Yeah. So now,
Okay. So, how will we get the protein then?
Fortunately, the advancement in technology has helped us to a point where we need not culture or grow all the organisms that we want to study, but we can just get the sequence of the protein of our interest from that organism's genome, put it in a surrogate system like bacteria, viruses, etc., and exploit them to express our protein of interest. So, for today, we are using bacteria called E. coli, which we have modified to produce large quantity of green fluorescent protein. Come, we'll show you the plate with the bacterial colonies. So these are the bacterial colonies, that is, one single colony has approximately millions of bacteria together. So now we will grow these bacteria in large scale culture to get enough number of cells so that we have sufficient amount of green fluorescent protein to purify.
Okay, so these cells are expressing our proteins now. How will you get the proteins out of the cells?
We will break open the cells using some routine techniques which either break the cells physically by exerting pressure on the cells or chemically which dissolves the outer layer of the cells. For example, sonication is a technique which uses sound waves to disrupt the cell walls of bacteria. In the other method, we use specific enzymes to dissolve the cell wall.
But there will be lot of proteins inside bacteria, right? So how will you get your protein of interest? For example, in our case, we are using E. coli. This bacteria has 4,000 proteins in it. How do we spot a given protein?
So there is a technique called chromatography which helps us to separate proteins utilizing different properties of our proteins like size, charge, etc. We'll show you the protein purification equipment. This is the system that we use for purifying the proteins. Here we load the mixture of protein that we get after breaking down the cells. By exploiting the property which is very specific to a given protein, we can separate out our protein. You can see a graph on the screen which indicates which fraction has our protein. So you remember we are purifying green fluorescent protein, and here we can see the green color in the tubes. But remember, not all proteins are having color. Proteins are generally colorless.
So what all can we do with the protein in order to solve the structure of it?
There are different techniques that we can use to solve the protein structure, like NMR, that is nuclear magnetic resonance, X-ray crystallography, cryo-electron microscopy. Coming to X-ray crystallography technique, as the name itself suggests, we need to have crystals of our protein.
What do you mean by crystals here?
So by definition, a crystal is a solid material whose constituent molecules are periodically arranged in all the three spatial dimensions. Oh, did I make it complicated? Okay, let's keep it simple.
Okay, how do we crystallize a protein?
So all of you might know that we get salt crystals by drying seawater out in the sun. So the principle behind this process is as water evaporates, the concentration of salt increases. Because of the high concentration, salt molecules start to crystallize. Similarly, in our lab, we dry out the protein solution in a very slow and controlled environment. The pure protein solution are placed as small drops in closed chamber and water is allowed to evaporate slowly, helping the protein to crystallize. You must have seen sugar or salt crystals. Like in case of salt, there are two atoms, sodium and chloride, which are periodically arranged in a particular ordered manner. This type of three-dimensional arrangement gives rise to crystals. Now we have set up crystallization plate with GFP and have kept the plate for crystals to grow. Based on the properties and concentration of the protein, it takes its own time to crystallize. Like some crystals can grow in hours and some might take months.
Why do we need crystals?
Oh, since proteins are very small, like approximately 1000 times smaller than the size of a bacteria, so in order to get the structure of it, we need millions of protein molecules arranged in an orderly repeated fashion. So protein crystals actually help to enhance the signal of protein. Okay, we'll check now if our crystals have grown. Now we have the crystals ready, which we'll be mounting onto the stage.
Now our crystals are ready. But how will we get the structure using these protein crystals?
For this, we expose our crystals to X-rays. But the important question here is, why only X-rays? Why not any other electromagnetic wave? This is so because the distance between the atoms of a protein molecule is equivalent to the wavelength of X-rays. This allows X-rays to penetrate the protein molecules and show the arrangement of atoms inside the molecules. From here, the X-rays come, which will hit the crystal and get diffracted. After this is the detector which will detect the diffracted X-rays. If you want to know how diffraction occurs, you can read about Young's double slit experiment. So this is how diffraction pattern looks like. All the spots present here contain information for the structure of the protein, which is derived from the electron density of different atoms in a protein. Finally, with the help of some computational analysis, we'll get the electron density for the protein, where we will fit the amino acid sequence that we already know, thus solving the structure of the protein.